morning, everyone. On this December 3rd, we were just commenting before we started recording that we're in December 2021. It's crazy.
Yikes.
But happy to have everybody to another CUTE session, Champions Using Teams Effectively. And hopefully you came with some questions or maybe just came to vibe and chat and, geek out with us. Either way is cool. Got myself, Ricardo, got Stacy, got Nash, ready to talk with you. And if you're online, hello to you as well. So if you do have any questions, you can fire them up in chat, come off mute. We're ready to go, ready to rock and roll for you for the next, 25 or so minutes. I was wondering if we had any new folks, maybe not, but
Those are familiar names. Yeah.
I was going to show, and I almost wanted to just show it just to document it. A little hack, I call it a hack, but I often get this question about how do I get to the group stuff related to Teams. We're so far into Teams now as a thing. We kind of forget that the engine under the hood, Office 365 groups, and in most of our day we don't necessarily have to think about it. It's probably a good thing. But every now and then I do get a question about how do I get to that? And I'll just show what I use to do that. Let me share my screen here. If you all have other ways, I'd love to hear it. But at least this will go on the record as showing my little hack here. So, what I mean by the group is, if I go into my Outlook here, this is this user's emails, and if you come down to the bottom here, you'll see, and that's super small. I don't know if I can even get that.
Zoom it.
Yeah, well, in desktop, that's an Outlook desktop. It's not letting me do that for the side panel. Oh, you mean Zoom it, the little app?
The utility, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have that on here, but I won't stay here long. What you see me here, I opened up the groups area. Those are, you could probably recognize those as being the ones from my teams, right? How does one get there outside of going to Outlook? So if I come into, let's just go here. Let's go to a Teams. Here's my team here. And this is my quick way usually for getting to the SharePoint site itself, is hitting files and then hitting open in SharePoint. So that's going to take me to the SharePoint site for the team, specifically the files area. But I don't know if you ever even noticed that there's that conversations piece over in the left panel, which when I started with this stuff, I'm like, well, that's clearly the channel chat, right? Conversations, right? It is not. And in fact, if you're a guest of a team, this is basically not going to be useful to you, because it really, if I click it, it's going to the web version of Outlook and then taking me to the Office 365 group for that team. Here is where I would see the distribution list, which probably you're not using if you're kind of like fully into, Teams chat. You're probably trying not to email as much, but there is an email distribution list here. That's where that is kept. And it's also where the group calendar can be found with all the meetings, recurring meetings and whatnot. So, this could be useful to get here, but sometimes it's not necessarily clear how to get here. I've also had this asked sometimes when people are in this groups area and say, I don't see the group for my team. I don't really know the answer to why that happens to me too, why it isn't there. But then that's when I just default back to, okay, let me start in Teams and, click all the way through to get to that group. You might ask, well, why would I ever want to get here? Sometimes to me, it's about, or with customers I've talked to, it's about seeing the meetings for the group here in a calendar view, and it may be about trying to get at the emails, the email distribution list as well. If that's of interest. So those are and then I think the last thing I've seen, and actually let me go back one more time. The other reason I've seen people come into here is, so you see notebook, planner and whatnot, but settings, this piece here, about following the inbox or not following it. Sometimes people want to make a change here in terms of getting notifications about distribution list items or notifications about, channel meetings and things like that. So that's usually where questions come from related to that for me. Just thought I'd show that. And if there's a better way, I'd love to learn it.
Well, and just re-summarize it, because it isn't a clear click path, but right, when we create a team, whenever we create a team, it's also creating an Office 365 group, which is the foundation of it. It's the who, and it drives a lot of the functionality. But to find and surface that group, since it's hidden from like the global address list by default, you can actually unhide it if you want to. Your click path for going from, hey, I've got a team, how do I go and find the group and see it, its settings? Just quick show that one more time, because we went through a bunch of stuff there.
Which part?
How you got to here from starting from the team.
Yeah, starting from the team. I go to files just so I can get to this add open in SharePoint button. Takes me directly to the team, lands me in the documents area, but I now see the left-hand side and there's that cool conversations that is not chat. It is email and essentially the landing page for that team.
Cool. And I don't know a better way. I don't have a quicker click path. I know like the other way I've done it is I'll go to the Azure Active Directory to look up the group. But I know a lot of organizations have changed it from the default where an end user can go there to search and turn that off. This one certainly would work for everybody, because if you're in the team, you'll be able to see the SharePoint site. And from the SharePoint site, you'll see the conversations, which will bring you over to Outlook. Yeah. But that's a lot of follow the bouncing ball. So
yeah.
Thanks for showing that to us.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody, on the line has had a need to come here. I mean, other than some cute, links to notebooks or whatever. I mean, have you, Nash?
Go to the planner one. That's one that comes up a lot of time in office hours. I do with some of my state and local government organizations, is that we'll go to planner and we'll go to the settings on planner, the actual planner board itself. So, like if you open the board, I think underneath the tasks 1, 2, 3 is a ...
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Oh, all right. I'm blanking. Is it the other ... Yep. There you go. Plan settings. This is another one of those like hard to realize that it's there, but whenever we have a planner board, underneath it is an Office 365 group.
Right.
Those settings there for notifications are coming from those group settings. So if you want to get notified about every possible change on a plan, you can do that with that checkbox there, but that does end up generating a lot of noise. So, but there are times where, hey, you absolutely have to have that email show up as a record of each point change in time to give you the change history. That is one way to go and get there.
Yeah, I agree that groups, O365 groups and planner have been the other conversation I've had where the groups come in. I'm one of those folks that don't like to open the hood of my car and look at the engine at all. I just want it to work. And then to me, the group is like the engine of the car, right? I know it's super important, but I'd rather not. I just want to drive, So.
Do you even know the full list of things that are driven by groups?
I don't know.
It's a team, it's planner, it's Yammer, it's modern SharePoint sites.
It would be Stream too, right?
Yeah, Stream.
Maybe Classic Stream. I know the new.
Yeah, Classic Stream. Yeah. Yammer uses groups. Project for the Web. Like it's there. It's all over all of these things, just sitting underneath the hood and providing that group of who and the common things whenever we need a group of people. That Office 365 groups is driving that, and that's where we see all of these things. There are like architecture diagrams that show how all of these pieces come together, but when we're playing the Teams game, knowing that those things are there can be very helpful, especially if you're trying to do governance for teams. There's no such thing as governance for teams without governance for groups. And when you're doing governance for groups, you're not just affecting teams, you're affecting planner and other things. So we do run into that as a challenge. Sometimes people think they're turning a knob and a lever that's only affecting one thing and not realizing, no, you're affecting something that's a layer beneath it and going to affect a bunch of other stuff. Well, we're not seeing a lot come in over chat. And maybe we just remind people, these are our office hours, right? This is a time for you to get what you want out of the time. So, and to share with your peers. All three of us, Ricardo, Stacy, myself, can share lots of things that you might find interesting, but we'd way rather answer your questions directly if you've got anything that's at the top of mind right now. Either something you're trying to figure out, you want help with, or something you figured out that's really cool that you just want to share.
See a couple of fingers typing in the chat there.
Sherry's off mute. What do you got, Sherry?
I was just going to say I didn't come with any questions. The first time that I got on this, I learned something new. So I'm here to learn something new. And I don't have the conversations on my menu in SharePoint. Any idea? It's possible I took it off the menu, but.
Do you have to be an owner of the team to see it there?
Well,
I should be an owner.
And this is a team internal to your org, right?
Right.
Because I know as a guest in a team, I wouldn't see that. Can it be? I guess it could be removed. So that's a possibility.
Okay.
Maybe another owner or someone. I don't even know if you have to necessarily be an owner to remove it. So it is removable. But yeah, normally it's there out of the box.
Okay, I'll poke around and see if I can get it back.
This edit button, by the way, I don't know if you got any other old school SharePoint folks like me and Stacy, and maybe even Nash. But this is awesome because back in the day, it used to be so hard to manage this list over here, and now to be able to drag and drop and and add new things over there is just great. So I don't know. That was just you guys are too young to remember those days.
Kids these days, I tell you.
How do you add one from that edit?
So let's see it right there, the little plus.
Oh,
It
okay.
could be to anything, not just SharePoint stuff, but of course you would want to put your favorite blogs on there and things like that, right? So TNCB and then hit OK and say
Okay, cool.
good stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, keep running that down. Let us know if you do find the conversations piece there. Otherwise, we'll have to dig more into that one.
Okay.
Glenn, new breakout room functions. The thing that we should show, and Ricardo, I'll have you just flip back to Teams and do it, is that today, functioning in GCC, we have the ability for the meeting organizer to delegate management of breakout rooms in a meeting. So we'll see him go in there and in other internal people, is it just internal or can they be external as long as they're named on the invite? I forget where the delineation is, but for sure internal people, you'll be able to go and say, these are the people who can manage breakout rooms. So if you go to, where is the UI for this? Is it under the ... for participants?
Oh,
Is there a,
maybe I need to update my client, maybe.
I missed the beginning of this. Are you guys trying to assign the person to help you manage the room?
Mm-hmm.
And you're in, did you click on the
he's in
breakout
desktop.
room?
Yeah, this is desktop, this breakouts.
Do manually, then go into create. And then I think you can do it after this step, but
Do you have to have other people in the room first before it'll show you that you can do that? Other people in the meeting?
I wonder if is it this gearbox here? There you go.
yes,
Right?
there it is.
There we go. So we do have to hit the breakout room piece first before you can do the settings. That's what we've got today. In the very near future, the ability to create the breakout rooms and do assignment ahead of time without being in the meeting context is going to be there. We had a false start. We rolled it out and it didn't work. So the latest update we have is they are rapidly escalating the fact that they haven't been able to fix it yet. So they're working on it. They've had a couple of fixes that they have tried, which didn't fully remediate the issues in the government environment, and it's still being actively remediated. But we got the first step. Let people manage breakout rooms and so it isn't you trying to put 500 people. Let me rephrase that: 350 people into breakout rooms.
Right.
In the future, you'll be able to do that the day before. And hopefully that's the sort of thing we'll have before Christmas here. We'll keep people updated. Just keep watching the message center for their update. That's where they updated saying, hey, we're working on fixing it. April is calling our attention to something that I didn't know it started rolling out yet. But we know that
it must be in flight because I don't have it in my GCC demo. The approvals templates. I see a place
to go check.
I see a place for them to go live. Like it's in flight, I bet, but there's nothing for me to select.
And it's good news too, because it's the sort of thing where it's been a little bit of a black hole. There wasn't a message center, or rather the message center post that went out for the approvals coming to GCC. Like, we didn't find out until very late that we weren't going to get templates. So now that we're seeing templates, it was such a small feature, it didn't warrant its own message center post, is my guess. It's a minor change to an existing feature versus a new feature, which that's every product manager takes their own take on what
right.
is what. So it could be that it's in flight and we're going to see it start working here, and there won't be a formal message center announcement on that one. But it's something that you'll probably see all of, Stacy, Ricardo, and I and our peers trying to get the word out there, because a lot of folks who were really excited about approvals, the thing they wanted was approvals with templates, right? Doing an approval right now without templates means there really isn't that much there. And if you want to add more, you have to customize it every time. Right. So if you want to say every time we're going to do an approval for this team's sick leave request or something like that, I want to check out a car from the pool and get an approval from my boss for that. The templates will let you go and have a template for a vehicle request. Oh my God, you got it in your tenant. Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Yeah.
So this is really where the majority of the value comes from, versus the ad hoc request to just get an approval. This one's going to be a lot more useful. So if you see it, April, are the other built-in ones working and it's just the Power Automate connection isn't working?
So I created one from scratch, and it is limited. You cannot do any branching with it right now. I don't know if that's a feature that's coming. Because it's based on Microsoft Forms. So when I go into the Power Automate side, I can pull up the manual ID of the form, but it doesn't seem to want to connect to it. So, because what ultimately I'd like to do is, once the approval has happened, that it trigger off a planner task for the person to complete.
Beautiful.
Complete whatever the approval is. In our case, we're using it looking at using this for system requests for, access levels. So ultimately will route to your supervisor, and then a task trigger off to say, hey, you've got somebody that submitted a form, and now you have a task to complete.
That is amazing, April.
Yeah.
One way or the other, let's get this working, and you come back to one of these sessions and you demo that. Because
it's sometimes a little frustrating because sometimes the connections between Power Automate and all the other tools, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
Yep. Yeah, and digging into the documentation where like a connector might be there, but certain steps aren't supported is really, really frustrating.
It would be nice if the templates had the option to kind of branch things, or at least group parts and pieces of the form together as it makes sense for, an end user to fill it out.
Yep.
But it doesn't look like that's available yet. Maybe it's going to be down the road.
Okay.
Well, I love that use case and idea. Certainly would be happy to represent that need for you. April's in Florida, so.
I was going to ask, where
she's
you
got
at,
the
April?
right CSM on the call.
Perfect. So yeah, I don't know, Stacy, does this sound like this is something where we want to start with having her just do a support request to make sure that this isn't something that's broken?
Yeah,
versus, hey, we don't know how to do it yet. Either way.
I think that's really good advice, Nash, because I know that there's quite a bit of Power Automate integration with forms, and it very well could be that there's a limitation that shouldn't be there, and the support ticket will help us uncover that. So, April, are you able to do that? Could you create a support ticket around what you're trying to accomplish? And
yeah, I can work with our IT on it, being that this is new, and I don't think they're keeping up with all these things, so I'll have to kind of go through that whole circle of whatever to get some help. So
okay, well, if you do go so far and create a ticket, please loop me into the ticket number, and I can work with your CSAM, and we can get some traction around that. I'd love to see your use case that you're presenting, or that you're talking through with us. I'd love to see that come to fruition, because Nash is absolutely right. Taking all those parts and pieces and making them sing together to do something that helps your business is exactly what we would want to be able to demonstrate to others, and have others dig in and do the same thing. So we'll absolutely help you solve this use case, and then I know that there will be others that benefit from this work.
Okay.
And Ricardo's just going to build one off the fly as we all talk.
Yeah, I did add, so this vehicle application is a template that I added to that particular team. And then it was available in a new conversation as an approval. You get your standard one there, or you go to the templates, and the one I added to that team is there. So seems to be working. I didn't go fill it out though.
Cool. Well, we're going to dig more into the approval templates. It sounds like none of the three of us knew that, so we learned something new today. Thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, we'll figure out if there is going to be a message center post or not, and if not, how do we get the word out? Because this is some cool stuff. And yeah. April, you already took it to the next level with your idea there. So like the building blocks you have on that example are like, everybody who sees that's going to be like, oh, I've got something that's just like this and just like this and just like this. That's a great demo example.
So that we got just a couple of minutes left. I do want to mention that we got confirmation yesterday that the post-meeting attendee report rollout was ongoing, and it should be completed. If memory serves, they were hoping to be completed by last night or today with that full rollout. So definitely you should start seeing the opportunity after meetings to go into the chat, and as the organizer be able to download your attendee report. That should be there. And if it's not, certainly early next week, then for sure let's reach out to your CSM, reach out to us if you don't know who that is, and we'll make sure that some support is aware, because we received that confirmation yesterday.
And just to dovetail that into Barbara's question about webinars, remember it was a multi-step process. First, post-meeting attendee report,
Right.
then attendee tab, then
Mhm.
meeting registration. To do meeting registration, we have to be able to track the attendees. They're going to show up and be surfaced in this tab. This tab couldn't go until we had the ability to go and pull that information afterwards. So we're still working through the prerequisites to get to meeting registration for webinars. Again, this was, I think Mornay said, urgent escalations around getting this moving faster. It is moving, at least. We're started seeing the attendee download report post meeting in a couple of production tenants like 2 weeks ago. So the fact that they're done this week is great. They're going to be moving on to the next thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, Glenn, thanks for the request. The second we can show that in GCC, we'll show it in GCC. We do, I think, in general, try to shy away from showing you in commercial before it's in GCC, just because we end up setting expectations that we don't know that we for sure are going to be able to deliver, because sometimes it isn't going to look that way when it gets there. For breakout rooms, it should be identical, but should isn't probably good enough for us to go and play that game. We want to show you the second it's live, that next Qt session, we'll go and walk everybody through it.
Awesome.
Just to mention, I put it in the chat. Hopefully you all saw it, but we have a one-to-many session coming up next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to talk through common meeting use cases and scenarios, and using all of the feature set that you have available today in the government cloud to make those meetings as smart and as effective as they can possibly be. I would say that you all in attendance here today are going to know a lot about what we're going to present already. But if you have folks that you're working with every day who really maybe have an affinity for another type of conferencing solution, or just haven't quite grasped how Teams meetings are more holistic than a typical meeting, this would be the event for those folks. So share the invite. Feel free to just forward them. I pasted the link in the chat again. You can share that link out to other folks if you'd like, but it's really going to give that hybrid, how you're going to have these meetings be the best meetings they can be. So for sure, share that and join us if you can. Feel free to shout out your cute webinars on Fridays if you join that, by all means, because we would look to always grow this audience as well. So we're glad you're here and looking forward to that event on Wednesday.
Absolutely. And look forward to seeing you next week. We're at time here, and so hopefully this was helpful. And yeah, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next Qt session.